Good afternoon, folks. This is Deb Delapiana, and this is your, I don't know, what should we call this? It's not really a shut the fuck up. It's more like a chain reaction to something I've seen on Facebook. And just a little commentary on Martin Luther King Day. So, just a word about last night's Factivist Report. Please take the time to look at it. It's already posted. It's already up on YouTube. It's going to be going up on Vimeo in a little while. But let's talk about what I really came here for. So yesterday, and as I suspected, there are some, truthers hanging around in my Della Harpsichord account. And, I can name them by names. I don't really care. People name me by name all the time, but Patricia Jones is one, and Michael Quinn was another. And of course, Patricia Jones asserted that she saw me reject FOIA documents as evidence. Now, I don't know what the hell Patricia Jones was talking about, because Patricia Jones has never seen me actually do anything. Said she is just a name on a Facebook page, and I have had actually no direct contact with her. And since I happen to live thousands of miles away from where she is. So if what she's talking about is FOIA documents that are like, evidence that Bill Gates may have donated money to the World Health Organization, and therefore they take that FOIA document and turn it into, therefore, he brought us the pandemic. If that's what she's talking about, I'm not rejecting the FOIA document. I'm rejecting their giant fucking leap using that FOIA document. So let me clarify that. And Michael Quinn says that I've lost my mind. Oh, quite to the contrary. So let me give you a little background here. First of all, let me make it abundantly clear that I really don't give a flying fuck what either Patricia Jones or Michael Quinn think of me, because they are just purveyors of more meme bullshit that floats around the internet and that floats around Facebook with actually any unfounded facts behind it. And that's where I'm coming from. Yes, we are, as a group, Become Ungovernable was living proof that no one is immune to propaganda. We fell into some traps. But you know what? As we went further down the pipeline and got involved with more people in the direct democracy thing, Dave and I in particular became more and more uncomfortable with some of the things we were saying, based on the fact that we would then go look it up and then vet that information and then vet the source. And we woke up. And I'm happy to say that we woke up. And unfortunately, I have to admit a certain amount of embarrassment for even vetting the source after I fell into the trap. As a former journalism student, I should have known better, and I admit that now. And we all make mistakes. And the important thing is that we learn enough to never repeat them. And that's where I'm coming from. We also became brutally aware that some of the people we were working with on direct democracy were right-wingers in disguise. We could not get them to commit to the basic fundamental belief that everyone has the same rights and legislation could not be used to overturn a certain group's rights. We could never get a firm commitment out of these people. And then when they started espousing the notion that we should be killing billionaires, we decided that that was a no-go for us. We decided not only do we not want to be associated with them anymore, and we cut them off immediately, but we also decided that Become Ungovernable would forever be associated with that attitude. And that has never been where we were coming from. It also became brutally aware to us that if we overturn this government, if, say, that ever really happened, and we were just leaving it in the hands of what was left here, that we would be in a world of trouble. Most of the American people do not even bother to read legislation, but the thought that they would have to write legislation and marshal it through a system that they created was scary to us. And what was even scarier was that the right wing, we believed, would have been on top. Mostly because the left wing is not really good at organizing and accomplishing much of anything. Which brings us to where we are today. Full frontal fascism. It's going through the legislature on a state-by-state basis. All kinds of shit. It's explained in last night's stream. It is explained in the previous week's stream. And we will continue to talk about it. But let me talk a little bit about Martin Luther King. You know, some of the people out there who are chest banging about my rights, you know, people who like to show memes where we have sheep up top with masks on and lions on the bottom snarling with no masks on, you know, that say, these are your friends, but these are my friends down below here. You know, all that rugged individualism. That's what America maybe has traditionally elevated. But that's not what Martin Luther King was all about. Martin Luther King was all about empathy and compassion and community. And yes, he was for the rights of the black people, but he was for everybody's rights. He understood certain things. And how people can be espousing the bullshit from the right while claiming to be admirers of Martin Luther King is beyond me. It's hypocrisy of the highest order. If anything, this pandemic has proved that the worst in people far outweighs the best. And we've seen it all. I've had people tell me I should die. One of them, a follower of my group, I should die because I'm old and the young people aren't afraid of COVID. I have had to, tell people coming into my store that they had to wear a mask at the height of this thing and been spit on. You know, I've seen ugly everywhere. We see it every day. We see it on airlines, people beating up other people, smacking around, airline workers like, they're entitled to that. People coming into stores and insulting people who are actually on the front lines of this thing. I've been working in the middle of this pandemic since day one. We never closed our doors. Never. I got sick with COVID at Ace Hardware. And I was out sick, very sick, for 9 weeks. So for people to be calling the new strain a hoax, you're insulting. There are almost 900,000 people dead here in this country now. You're insulting to the people who have lost family members to this. You're insulting to the medical workers on the front line. And you're blowing it out your ass on a daily basis. And all your chest banging about not wearing masks like you're some kind of fucking, macho hero. Grow up. Really. You know what? When you wear a mask, you're not just protecting yourself. You're protecting other people from what you may be carrying as well. But you don't really give a shit about that because you're not all about community. You're all about you. That's the first thing I want to talk about. The second thing I want to talk about is the fascist government that we have here, forcing us to wear masks and get vaccines. Oh, yes. Well, you know what? the fascists, the real fascists out there, they're dying in droves. Unfortunately, they're not just taking out the right-wingers, they're taking out innocent people with them. They're clogging up hospital beds for people who are legitimately sick, not people who have chosen to become ill, but people who are sick with things other than COVID. There are healthcare workers who are professing to be freedom fighters who are not getting vaccinated. And there are now people who are patients in hospitals getting COVID in hospitals from hospital workers. Find another fucking job. Be a garbage collector instead. You know who else didn't like vaccine mandates? His name was Adolf Hitler. He withheld vaccines, mostly from Jewish people, because he thought, you know what, if we can spread some illness, we can hasten their demise and help ourselves out here. Get a clue, people. No. Having to wear masks in a pandemic and get a vaccine is not akin to Nazi Germany. It's not even close to what happened to those people. And it wasn't just Jewish people, although they were the worst victims. They were the most victimized. There were gay people. There were Christians. Anyone who displeased the Fuhrer. Could be exterminated at any moment. So no, spare me all your historical bullshit about masks and vaccines being like Nazi Germany. It's insulting to those who have survived the Holocaust. We live in a country now where, in the state of Texas, we want our teachers to teach the alternative to the Holocaust. What would that be, the alternative? Is it that it didn't happen? Even though there is ample evidence that it was one of the most heinous times in world history. Should we teach that it may not have happened at all? That there was a massive conspiracy to fake all this shit? Or should we teach them that Hitler was right? And by the way, if the Holocaust never happened, why were the right-wingers in Washington for the insurrection wearing shirts that said 6 million isn't enough? I'm suggesting to you that you might want to think about who you're following. And you might want to think about getting on board with the right-wingers in this country just because it suits your vaccine, mask, mandate bullshit. Maybe you ought to do what we did, was take some time to reflect on exactly what the fuck we were saying and how the fuck fake all of it was and how much bullshit the right wing has spent cultivating this. I'm going to put articles in here that show you how the Koch brothers spent thousands of dollars on anti-lockdown and anti-vaccine activities, supporting legislators who espoused that bullshit, and how they also gave millions of dollars to candidates who would help Donald Trump attempt to overturn the election. It's time for you to wake up. You know what? I can't make you wake up. I certainly don't feel actually bad that I've changed my position. In fact, you know what? People who continue on and on and on with the same bullshit in the light of everything that's going on now, you're the ones who are behind the times and out of your minds. We actually, as a group, as the Factivist Report and the Factivist Project, feel kind of good about ourselves. Have a nice Martin Luther King Day, and we'll talk to you all later.